And hello, welcome back to the Japan Game Junk podcast. So today, I'll be talking a bit about one of my favorite store chains. It is Surugaya this time. It is the one in the Tsuranuma district of Narashino City of Chiba Prefecture. So most foreigners who are very in tune with the train system might know the train station of Tsuranuma much more than the city of Narashino, so Tsuranuma is easier to remember for many people. Anyway, this is a Surugaya store that is on a high floor in an old shopping center. And the store itself is fairly nice, but the shopping center has seen better days. And however, unlike many places that I talk about, it does have very good train access for those who wish to use it. However, I did in fact choose to drive to the nearby Aeon shopping center and take the short walk over to save money on parking, as it is free at Aeon. Anyway, a little bit about this store. It has lots and lots and lots of, like little trinkets, How some people like little trinkets, little figures, little badges, little toys and stuff of all your favorite little animation characters. So much more animation stuff here than in other Surugaya stores. And if you're looking for music or movies or games, then of course it's worth a visit. But other Surugaya stores have quite a bit more. This one is very animation character friendly. Still though, quite a bit that was worth checking out. And now I'll give you some input on what I could find there. First thing of note that was very interesting was a PSP Go system. This is just the system itself, although it did look like it's in good condition. System itself, no box, no manual, no anything, for 30,000 yen. I was surprised to see how expensive these things are getting because, in essence, they're like a small, interesting, slim little PSP system, but literally now, that's 3 times the cost of even a boxed, good quality PSP system you can get that can accept discs. This one can't even read discs. And the PSP Go, the network, the PSP network's going to shut down and it'll become useless. I guess you can hack it up or whatever, but yeah, that was a bit surprising. Anyway, also of note, for the Famicom was a game that I've not seen very often. It is Murder Club, the port of JB Harold's Murder Club. This one was 4,580 yen, and I think it's pretty noteworthy because I've not seen it for sale in many places. So, if you really want to have this venerable series for the Famicom, well, you can find it there at the Tsuranuma Surugaya. Also of note, Goonies 2, which has good points and bad points. It's a bit of an interesting game. I have played it a bit before, but it's 940 yen, which is a little bit cheaper than in most places. So there you go. Of interest is that for Japan, modern games, which are foreign releases, typically are cheaper than the Japanese ones. It's like you don't really get the Japanese in certain games imported, so they're not as popular. As far as the manual goes, or sometimes even, for example, with Switch games, you get the US version play on a Japanese Switch, but it won't let you play the Japanese version. You can't really download the Japanese version or whatever. So anyway, modern games, yes, cheaper than Japanese games often. However, retro games and rarities, it's quite different. And here there were a couple of games for the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, released in the US, and these American games were so expensive. For example, Tiger Heli and Captain Skyhawk, both were very close to 4,000 yen. And these are the kind of games that, in my imagination, I remember as being, in the wagon junk section being sold off for pennies in the game stores in the US, at least a number of years ago. but I guarantee that something like Tiger Heli won't run you 4,000 yen outside Japan. So if you have your old game collection, bring it to Japan, and maybe you can sell it off at these kind of stores for very high rates. Also for a very high rate was Castlevania 2 for the Famicom Disk System. Again, it was a Disk System game here, not a cartridge release like in other countries, and here the discs, although, guaranteed to work, 8,600 yen. A lot of money for what could be the worst Castlevania game for the Famicom/NES. Something I found that was kind of rare, and I was kind of tempted a bit, but didn't want to pay this much, was a very good quality in-box copy of SNK vs. Capcom Card Fighters 2 Expand Edition for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Now, the first game in the series, which has two versions, a SNK and a Capcom version, which are, it's like, Pocket Monsters. It's the same game, basically, just a little bit of difference. Those games are very, very cheap. Some of the most common games you find for it, but this game was just a shade under 15,000 yen. So it's kind of a lot for a Neo Geo Pocket Color game, but maybe not so much when you consider that this is the first time I've actually seen it on sale. Could, in fact, be very rare. Anyway, also, one of the more expensive ones of these I've ever seen in Japan is a Game Boy Micro system for 42,560 yen plus tax. And yet, this is one that has the box with some damage and a little bit of, it claimed, UV damage, like the bit of the fading from being in the sun, a bit on the system back itself. Yet, that kind of high price. You can find these systems, even boxed for less than that usually, and if you just want the system by itself, you can find it for maybe 15,000 if you look around. It's gotten pretty expensive lately, but even then I wouldn't pay, 30,000 yen more than that. It's a good chunk of change. Also of just interest was Area 88 for the Super Famicom, which was released in the West, or at least in America, as UN Squadron. And I remember it clear as day. This was the second game I ever played for my Super Nintendo when I was a very young child. The first game I played, of course, was Super Mario World, which came with the system, but then at the nearby rental place, not Blockbuster, but a little local rental kind of place, where I was renting my Nintendo games. This time it was my first Super Nintendo game, and I have no idea why I picked it, but UN Squadron. Anyway, from that memory, it's always held a little bit of a place in my heart, and maybe if I want to pay 2,250 yen, I might go back to this Surugaya and buy the Japanese version. But what I remember most about the game was that the characters talking just kept their mouths moving forever until you hit a button, Very Sonic 06. Also of note, in the junk section, complete in package Splatoon for the Wii U. Just 100 yen. Way back when this is a big thing, and tons of people paid a lot of money for it. Even I did. I think I got it new at Costco because it was kind of cheaper there. But it's a fun game. But after 2 and then 3 came out, people stopped playing the original Splatoon, and now you can't play it on the Wii U online anymore. So it's now just a very, very, very junk-priced game. Also, a few things that they have in a little box at the store near the bottom of the junk section. Tons and tons of manuals, like game manuals, including some rare ones like a Buggy Popper for the Famicom. 890 yen just for the manual. And one thing that was very shocking was Super Street Fighter 2, the new challengers for Super Famicom. Just the manual was 1,170 yen, and at most hard-offs you can get this game in box with manual for much less than that, maybe about 300 yen. Maybe even find it junk for 100 yen. So definitely shop around if you want manuals. Don't just trust what's there. Also noting what they had, 2 games for the 32X, Afterburner and Doom, both were 6,000 yen. And one day when I finally snag a 32X, I'll just try to go and find which store has the cheapest single piece of software, because, yeah, definitely don't want that just to play it, just want to have it just to have it. Also, kind of weird was, Street Smart. Weird fighting game for the Mega Drive, 8,450 yen, and, yeah, just Street Smart, just a weird game, weird name. Something else that I thought was really very interesting there, in the, not in the game accessories section, new in box, there was a Space Invaders 40th Anniversary mini table. And it's like this little, almost like a, kind of a, like you could put it on top of a coffee table. It's like really, really kind of a small, fold-out legs coffee table, just smaller. And the top of it is, designed, just the artwork, to look like it is one of the old sit-down Space Invader game, arcade game tables. I thought that was really, really interesting, and I would have bought it for myself, for my, gaming junk room, but it was not a junk price. It was 2,500 yen, which is a bit much just for a novelty like that for me. Also of note, for the PS Vita, Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Venus Collector's Edition, the huge box full of all sorts of stuff with all the girls in it, the art books and the figures that I guess you take them home and you just hold them and you concubine with them or whatever, but yeah, 6,700 yen, it's the cheapest I've ever seen it, with the completeness of it, so yeah, if you're the kind of person who wants to have this and go home to your private time and enjoy yourself looking at these girls or whatever, then you can go to Surugaya and get that. What else was interesting? Oh, Sweet Home, the survival horror game for the Famicom, completely new in box, looking very, very nice. The box looks great. 25,000 yen. But that being said, for a complete version looking this good, it might be a game that some people want to consider, because that actually is a historical game with some great, great stuff behind it. And sorry for the cough. Indeed, for almost 1 month now, bronchitis. And then another game that was I've played on the channel, on the YouTube channel, JGJ from Square, the original game that came before 3D World Runner in the West. It's kind of fun, kind of interesting, little good graphic effects and stuff. I got mine for, I think, 100 or 200 yen, but here it's being sold in the box, fairly enough, for 7,100 yen. Also of note that they did have quite a number of Neo Geo ROM cartridges for your home Neo Geo system, not just CD, but they ranged in price from about 10,000, and they went up and up and up, and for example, King of Fighters 98, not even the most celebrated in the series, yeah, that was over 60,000 yen, kind of a lot. Also a lot was Cutie Honey for the NEC PC FX system for 20,000 yen. Now, Cutie Honey, though, is very famous for being, I think it's like a female robot, and she'll often change her clothes when fighting, and it shows off her bosoms. And so, yeah, that might be why it's popular, because Cutie Honey FX for the PC FX, that system has lots of animation with nudity on it, so I'm sure that's a selling point. 20,000 yen selling point. For 7,500 yen, actually I should say 7,480 to be specific, Triggerheart Excelica for the Dreamcast, which I found for 200 yen, disc only to be fair, last year. Here, complete in box, 7,480, which to be fair is actually kind of cheap. Usually it's over 10,000 complete, so there you go. And with that, that's everything that I noticed that was worthwhile enough to express to you in this episode. So, anyway, like I said before, this store much more interesting for people who are into animation and, you know, comics, those characters, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's still got quite a bit to check in the game section as well, and it's definitely worth a visit. So, if you're ever in the Narashino City area, or if you're passing through on a train and you're near Tsudanuma Station, you know, maybe hop off and check out that store. It's or if you're just not lucky enough to be driving in Japan and you can't get too many Surugaya stores anyway, then yes, please indeed give it a peek. Actually, I believe if you can't drive, then your only convenient Surugaya stores might be, well, that's right, maybe Akihabara, of course, but then also this store, maybe the one in Omiya in Saitama. Wow, I never really thought about that before, but yeah, as pretty much the grail, the holy grail of chain stores, at least in Japan, definitely worthwhile to check these out. So, anyway, thanks so much for listening. Please go and check out the YouTube channel as always, as I'll be playing a couple of games I bought at this store and at many others over time. So yeah, have a great day. Thanks again, and be smiling because you're a wonderful person. Bye-bye.